I can feel it. It's palpable. Okay, so welcome to the Just for Today cast here at Broken Helm. I'm JP. I am an addict. I'm in recovery. Been almost 8 months. I've got one of my partner co-host today, switching roles. We do that from time to time. Scott Rambo. And
Yep.
Tell us about yourself.
I'm also an addict, and I'm a recovered addict and alcoholic, and a veteran.
And I like that you say this is something that's been in past casts, that you're a recovered alcoholic.
Yes, I am a recovered alcoholic.
I like that because that's different. And I remember we've talked about that before, being in recovery or recovering. But you, along with one of our past guests, Eli, has said you are recovered.
Yeah, there's like 30 or 40 places in the big book where it says recovered.
That's
like we
awesome.
have recovered from a hopeless state of mind and body. Like, I'm not hopeless today.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, you are hopeless, but maybe not with your alcoholic. And we have our esteemed guest today, Judah Litke. Let's tell us a little bit about yourself today. What brings you here, buddy?
Yeah.
I was asked to be on this podcast.
Who asked you? Who? I want to know. This is shenanigans.
No, I too am an alcoholic and an addict, recovered,
Recovered
by the grace of God.
Amen.
How long have you
actually,
been recovered?
the title page of our literature, the title page talks about the story of how many thousands of men and women have recovered.
Yep.
That's like the first thing it ever says in the book.
Yeah, I'm familiar.
So I can get down with that.
You down with that?
I can get down with
All
that.
right. Well,
yeah.
I mean, that's your choice.
What does that mean to you when you I look at it from, as I mentioned, the standpoint, I'm no longer hopeless. What does it mean to you?
Yeah. So for me, it just means I've been recovered from a hopeless state of mind and body.
Okay.
That I don't have to wake up needing a drink or a drug. Doesn't mean I'm cured of alcoholism or drug addiction. It means that I've recovered from that hopeless state. Exactly what Scott said.
So are you recovered from both drinking and drugs?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so what do you do now? Like, now that you're recovered, what gets you that fix in life so much? Like, you need something to do. One of the things that I've noticed in my recovery so far is one of our biggest enemies. I think it's in the literature too somewhere. Boredom.
Ooh.
I mean, when I've been bored, I'm not working right now. This is kind of my job.
It's interesting.
Boredom can get that for me, and you start thinking about the good times.
Yeah.
When your addiction mind is telling you that they were good times. Obviously, they weren't.
Yeah.
But
I was having this conversation with someone
Yeah?
just the other day, and they were like, I don't know, I've been sober for like 18 months. And I love being sober. I'm not complaining, but I feel like I'm just missing that oomph. It's just so boring sometimes. Exactly this problem, right? And it hit me like I've been addicted to chaos.
Yeah. Oh, you've said that before.
That's interesting.
You know?
Yeah, that's...
I don't know what it means to live a normal life by just waking up, praying, meditating, having breakfast. I don't have my own family yet, but like hopefully one day, and like
someone else's
going to work,
home record,
going to work, having a meaningful day, making a difference in someone else's life, eating in between, coming home, chilling out, and like going to sleep and doing it again, and hopefully just having meaning in your life in that way is so
boring.
It's just so different than what we're used to.
Right.
So it's like I'm not just addicted to drugs and alcohol. I'm addicted to chaos. My whole lifestyle when I'm running is, part of the high is like searching for it and running around and worry and the worry and the stress of like how I'm gonna pick up and and the hiding, the lying, the stealing, the thievery, the manipulation, the vindictiveness, all of that stuff it all adds up to just one big chaotic jumble.
Yeah.
And when that's gone,
what do you do?
And then I'm like, oh, I must be bored.
Yeah.
It's like, no, it's all gone.
No.
Like,
Yeah. It's a lifestyle change.
Yeah.
And not in a sense, like flat out, it's a lifestyle change if you choose it. And so what do you do now that the chaos has kind of subsided, you've done that lifestyle change, what fills up your time right now?
Sure. So, I mean, I work a lot,
Mm-hmm.
you know, work addiction might be a thing.
It is a thing.
You know?
Yeah,
It
no,
can
that
be.
I don't
Yeah.
think I am a work addict, but I do definitely spend a lot of time at work.
tendencies maybe. Yeah.
It's interesting. Like, there's different types of work, you know.
What type of work do you do?
So I work for the Autism Society.
Really?
Yeah, working with people on the autism spectrum, which is a
Okay.
very, very wide spectrum.
It is very
Yeah.
like so wide, and recently it's even widened because they took off, like, it used to be like Asperger's was considered
was
a thing,
considered, yeah.
and now it's just everything's on the spectrum,
Right.
you know. But yeah, I mean, I spend a lot of time working with people with special needs and developmental disorders, and it's very meaningful work, you know.
Yeah.
It's not easy. It's kind of stressful sometimes. And maybe there's a part of me that, you know, wants a little bit of that chaos where it's like, you know, I'm dealing with someone who, you know, can't take care of themselves, and you know, it's not in a box.
Right.
You know,
Not
my
cookie
worst
cutter? Yeah.
my worst nightmare would be sitting at a desk for 8 hours a day.
Okay.
Okay.
I did that in active addiction.
Oh, so yeah, that's a trigger then.
That's
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's interesting. My so
Yeah.
I have a couple brothers and a sister, and one of my brothers has a little boy that is autistic, and it was difficult.
We don't say autistic anymore.
We don't. What do we use? What's
on the
term?
spectrum.
Person with autism.
Person with autism. Yes, he's a little person with autism, and it was it was difficult.
I'm sorry.
Person with autism.
Is he no? When you say little person,
No, you didn't mean
yeah.
No, I didn't mean like he was a dwarf. No,
Okay.
he's not a dwarf.
I'm just checking.
Yeah.
You know?
No, he's young. He's like 5, and everybody in the family knew it before my brother Paul and his wife Nadine were really able to, like, they did. I don't think they wanted to have. If they acknowledged it, then it meant it was a reality and it was something they had to contend with, and they didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
So I'm familiar with that because it's in my family.
For sure. And like, I was talking to a friend the other day who's still up in New York, where I'm from originally.
I was gonna ask that
Yeah.
because I heard it.
You heard
I
it?
heard a couple things. I had some
Accent.
my ex-wife's family is from New York.
Yeah.
And I heard some of that in there. I was like,
Yeah.
I was gonna ask, well, where are you from, buddy?
Yeah.
Where do the Litkes
A
hail
li-
from?
a little more on that in a minute, but
Yeah.
so he works with autism
People with autism.
people with
People with
autism
autism. Okay.
up in New York, and he's been reaching out to me like several times over the last couple of weeks. Like, I just can't deal. Like,
Really?
Yeah.
you know, especially when you deal with someone with behaviors and like they're punching, they're screaming, they're running, they're kicking, they're like, you know,
Yeah.
and he's also a person in recovery
Okay.
who's, you know, dealing with this shit, and you really have to like ask yourself, like,
Is this what I want to do?
is this not only is this what I want to do, but is this something that is good for me right now?
Yeah.
You know, because
Yeah.
when the funny thing is I was working like a solar energy job down here,
Okay.
making probably like double or triple what I make now,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it was sucking the serenity out of me.
Okay.
Really?
I couldn't. Yeah, I was doing sales door to door.
Ooh, no.
Terrible,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
It was just terrible.
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 He said terrible.
It wasn't great. It was terrible.
Terrible.
And I made the switch because I wanted to do something meaningful with my life, and it was worth it for me, right? But now when I come to work, you know, when any of us in this field come to work, we leave everything going on in our personal lives. It has to be left at the door.
It
Right.
does. I
You
don't
know.
understand. What do you mean? Like, for
Well, that's-
example.
I'm having a bad day. I'm having a stressful day.
Okay.
I'm worried about something. I'm afraid of something. I'm pissed off at something.
Okay.
I pick up my participant, as we call them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to go, you know, spend the next 4 hours together. If I bring my personal life and my worries and stress into this next 4 hours,
Mm-hmm.
That's bad.
that's bad news bears for him.
That's
and,
unfair. Yeah.
Yeah. And to think, and excuse me, don't think that like they don't pick up on that.
Right.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
So like with autism, it's a developmental disorder. So and it comes out socially. So if you're talking to someone with autism, it may come across as though like they have no idea what's going on, right? Because they have no idea how to express themselves.
Right.
Okay. Can they process?
Their brains are working fine.
So they can process what you're saying. They just don't know how to get it out. Is that what you're
and
saying?
I come in with that bad energy.
Okay.
They're processing it.
Yeah, I had a participant the other day. He was like, he's a runner. Okay, so we go to the mall,
Okay.
and he wants to run
Everywhere.
everywhere. He wants to run to Barnes and
cool.
Noble. He wants to run to the
Okay.
bookstore.
That would be a nightmare.
One of his like one of his goals, so to speak, is like getting him to slow down when he walks. Literally,
So he's like a toddler.
So let me
he's
ask,
like 28.
Yeah,
You
but I
have
mean,
got
like,
goals.
but that's
that you work with each participant?
Yeah,
Like, so, like, it'd be like my goal with Scott is to quit picking his eye in the middle of a podcast.
yeah, perfect. And then like after each podcast, you would like check off if that goal was met or not.
Men or not. Yeah,
is
frowning face.
that's what our producer's doing with his whiteboard over there. He's,
Yeah. But anyway, so this
Right.
guy, he wants to run all over the place, right? And last week there was it was particularly bad. And after like the 9th, 10th, 11th time, I was like, dude, like we have to slow down, like a little harsher than I normally would.
Right.
Okay.
And he looked at me, he like did an about face, and he was like, "Are you okay?"
Oh,
Man.
Wow.
And I'm like, "Oh my fucking god!"
It was almost like robotic.
Oh yeah, very robotic.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
But he picked up on that energy immediately.
An instant.
wow.
That's amazing.
And I was like, oh my God, I really got to be careful. You know?
Yeah, but also, that's also a good thing because picking up on it and processing it and responding.
Absolutely.
That's a great step for the participant. Am I right on that?
For sure.
Yeah. So I mean that's rare because my girlfriend used to work, I think at the Autism Society or with people with autism, participants so to speak, and she
Right.
would tell me about this. And I also have some people in my family with autism, and I've known some of these things you're saying. So they are connecting. And she had described she had one participant that she took to one of the botanical gardens over, I think, near UNCA, and that was their. If I'm correct, there's routines that people with autism
They're very into schedules.
very into
Yeah.
schedules, and if you're off on that, it can just
messes everything up.
right. And there's one that her participant where she said wanted to go there. They went there every day that she was with them, and they wanted to walk ahead of that person of my girlfriend. And if she ever went up, like it wasn't a fit, but it was a reminder, like very stern, like I'm doing this by myself. I got this. And
Okay.
so I think a common misconception, like you said, like their brains are working fine, but
Or mostly.
or
fine.
mostly fine. But the common misconception is that they're not, that there's something there. And
they're oblivious.
Right.
Yeah.
And no, they're very, and that, I think that's huge. That's also a reminder you do have to watch it. But when you said check it at the door, you're like, what is that? I don't know.
What?
It's like when,
What are you talking about?
for us, and that's exactly what he did.
No, no,
Exactly what he did.
no, he's not.
It's like
It's like deja vu all over again.
it's like for when you get home from work, they always the saying has always been, check your shit at the door. Don't bring your work home with you.
Yeah, I mean,
so for you, it's don't bring your home
home to work.
and that's awesome
Yeah.
to imagine that. I don't know. That's kind of blowing my mind.
Yeah, So a question about that. You said like he picked up on that energy like immediately. Do you find that they're that more than people who are not on the spectrum? Is it been your experience that they're more they're more in tune with being able to pick up on that than like normal people, for lack of a better term? Or is it random, or like are they just more in tune to be able to sense a person's energy and have it affect them in some way, shape, or form?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I wanna hypothesize, and this is totally my opinion and not backed up by anything.
Okay.
But I would want to hypothesize that similar to the way a blind person develops very
Senses.
good hearing,
Okay.
someone who struggles with that might be able to develop a keener sense of picking up on energy and what's the word?
Emotion or no?
Just responding.
Oh.
Crazy word. Responding.
Right. Okay. Right.
And just learning how and getting a keener sense of people's energies and responding quicker and more effectively than one of us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's that classic novel? about. It talks about like people's energies, picking up on people's energies. It's like in the Aztec ruins. You have any idea what I'm talking about?
I do know, but the name is
The name is slipping my mind.
Okay.
Might have to
anyway.
have the producer look it up.
Yeah. Google it real quick.
Not like he's busy.
Yeah. But anyway, like in a similar vein, just like in that book, he talks about how people who spend time with it and study it and learn it and get more spiritual, et cetera,
Right.
can develop a very keen sense of someone else's energy. So I'm sitting here, if I'm sitting next to a very beautiful woman, I don't have to say anything, but if she's sensing my energy, she'll be very turned off because I'm having some crazy thoughts in my mind.
It's almost
Right.
like enlightenment, so to speak, the Aztec version of it.
Sure.
I would say.
Yeah.
Aztec enlightenment. That's
Aztec Enlightenment. So,
join us on Wednesdays.
yeah, we'll be talking about that next Wednesday. So you mentioned development and everything. Have something that comes to mind is like being able to work with what was the term you used? Them, not clients. Participants, yeah, with your participants to
They
kind of
participate in their own life,
right? To kind of help with that that running. We'll use that as an example, like not just physical, but if their minds are running or in situations like that. What about meditation? Like using mindful meditation, like implementing with them, like calming techniques, like not focus, like okay, calm in the moment, but I mean like setting the tone. Well, because like in the program we meditate in the morning,
Sure.
we meditate in the evening. Have you?
So yeah, there is I mean, I don't have experience with that with most of them, but one of them does actually have in his goals to practice
Really?
breathing techniques.
Oh, nice.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's very case by case.
Oh, it's so case by
yeah,
case.
because
Okay.
I've heard that about autism is, I don't know. Okay, for an example, when someone has Down's syndrome, there are physical aspects that you can see. With autism, there's no, like, you can't tell physically. There's not a
Usually.
person. That's what I mean. From what I've read, is
Yeah.
that there's not a physical sign like you could see with Down syndrome or something. So it is a very much interpersonal. It affects the interpersonal communication a lot with that, which is what he's working on.
Right.
What I want to know is this. It sounds like it takes a lot of patience to work with participants. So coming, like you said, your friend who's working in New York in the same field said, I don't know if I can do this.
Yeah.
Have you ever gotten there in your work? Like, because you are in recovery, how long are you in recovery? Have you been recovered?
This time?
This time. Yeah. Yeah, we're not adding.
You're not a one-hit wonder.
Oh, no.
Yep. Yeah, JP's
you?
a one-hit wonder.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Oh,
he is.
congrats.
Thank
man.
you, bud.
Don't let anyone tell you that it's not possible.
Right.
Right.
That was my biggest fear.
Yeah.
But I had we've talked about this on another show, a serendipitous moment where the speaker at the first room I went to was a celebration.
Sure.
And it had like 2 years, and it was his first time through. And it was so crazy because that day I was freaking out, like 7 times I have to go 7 times. You know,
Right,
the average.
So like
Right.
rehab, yeah.
Yeah,
or,
and
or,
so
yeah.
for that to be my biggest
this is
worry
the
that day,
benchmark. Yeah.
so that jumped me to the step of higher power because I was like, this has got to be something put me in this room right now to hear that when I needed to.
Sure.
Yeah.
But sorry, I digress.
But yeah, I've been sober since January.
January,
Yeah, 2019.
good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just beat me. I got arrested just a little bit after you. That sent me on my cleanliness path, so to speak.
And
But
did you get you got sober here in Asheville or in New York or
I got sober in Delray, Florida.
Florida?
oh my
Okay.
God, I know Del Rey.
Yeah.
Why did they just not?
Tale of Two Cities.
Yeah.
They just don't have good drugs down there or something? And you were like, might as well get sober. Yeah.
I actually went to
Florida is the rehab capital of the country.
Florida
Delray is not just the rehab capital of
Yeah.
the country; it's the rehab capital of the world.
Yeah.
in fact.
Yeah.
Like
Delray
most rehabs per capita
in the state of Florida
in the world
in the world.
are in the state of
are
Florida.
in Delray, Florida.
In
Yes.
Delray, Florida.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not just a
Oh.
state, it's an area.
Yeah.
It's an area. Okay, I didn't know that.
You know, and that includes like Delray, Boynton, a little bit of Boca,
Okay.
Boca
Raton.
Boca Raton.
Boca Raton.
Boca Raton.
Boca Raton.
Raton.
That's the New York way to say it.
and,
Boca
most,
Raton.
and most of the people there are from New York. So.
Yeah, I know. Oh, yeah, I lived in Central Florida. I know that for a fact.
Yeah, but I got sober. So I mean, I bottomed out this final time in New York.
Okay,
back
that's
home.
what I was going to ask. Yeah.
Okay.
So you
And
traveled to there.
I
because of it.
traveled
All right.
to Delray. I don't know how I got there.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
I
did
don't
you
know
do
how I got
that?
No memory of it?
Detoxing
memory.
or yeah, that was the trip.
My first stop was a detox in Stuart, Florida.
Okay.
But I have no idea how I got to Florida. I mean, I do know now, but I have no recollection.
Okay.
So you were under the influence when you made that.
I mean, I was always a firm
that trip.
believer that whenever I was going to get sober,
Go out
and
with a
I've
bang.
tried several times, you know, so each time that like I made that decision to like go for it,
Yeah.
I needed to go in guns blazing.
Okay. One last hurrah
Yeah,
type thing?
that's just the way I saw it.
Okay.
That's a common way to see it.
It was
though,
almost
yeah.
like I'm not going to be that loser who shows up to detox sober.
Yeah, okay.
So let's
You know?
let's touch on that mentality.
This is my mentality
yeah.
when I'm fucked up.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, no, I
let's
get
just,
that. I get that.
Yeah.
And that's I mean, to be
Yeah.
honest, to me, that's a common mentality.
Oh, very common.
'cause
No
we-
one shows up to detox sober.
No,
Yeah.
when
No.
I got arrested, spent 6 days in jail. I remember detoxing in jail. It was the worst time ever. And then I got bailed out randomly because my family was leaving me in there. So I got bailed out, and I knew I was going to a program where you and I met at the VA.
Yeah, at the VA.
And I knew I had like 4 days. What did I do? I went right to the trap house.
Sure.
And I remember walking in going, yep, they got some. You know, like I could just smell it.
Smell it.
I could even feel it. Like my arm hairs tingle because I
tingling.
went 6 days without anything.
That's that developed intuition. Walk in the dope house and be like, I know they got the good here.
Yeah, it was my spidey sense.
Spidey sense.
And
Yep.
and I remembered that same mentality. Like if I'm going,
Dope sensors.
yeah, I was like, you got it.
You got
Give it up. No, they like I had that mentality. I remember saying, if I'm going in 4 days, I'm going to do as much as I can in 4 days because I'm not going to. In my mind, I'm not going to do it again. It wasn't so much as I'm not going to be the loser that shows up to the program sober. It was because I was actually thinking, I don't want to go through this detox again.
Yeah.
But I knew it was going to be medicated assisted if needed, you know, for health reasons. But I remember saying, if I'm done, one last ride, so to speak.
Yeah. And it's been different times that I've tried getting sober. Like previous times, you know, a number of years ago, that last hurrah for me was really the main reason why I did that was because I wasn't interested in getting sober. And it was like, oh, my parents are forcing me to go to treatment.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm leaving a week from Monday. Well, guess what? I'm going to do as many fucking drugs as I can between now and then.
Yeah.
You know, because I didn't want to stop.
What made you go this time?
Yeah, what made you?
Oh, my
want to
life was
stop?
over.
You
okay.
said you bottomed out. in New
Yeah,
York.
it was all over.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, there was.
So you made that conscious decision yourself, or did someone suggest it?
Well, I'm eternally grateful that I have a family and a support network.
Good.
That, you know, were pushing me for the longest time to, you know, finally do something about it. I relapsed in September of 18.
In New York?
After having a year and a half sober.
Okay.
Dry as fuck.
You white knuckling it, or
I mean, just so dry.
What do you mean by dry? Like
Not doing any of the work, no steps, no. I mean, I had a sponsor, never called him. You know, thinking that I could survive on going to meetings and like
fellowship
vicariously through other people's recovery.
right.
Yeah.
So I, you know, inevitably relapsed in September 18. I went on a 5-month run, right through the middle of January.
It's a good run. No.
Yeah, it was pretty solid.
It's pretty solid.
But I got to that point where, you know, it talks about in part of our literature. It talks about, you know, eventually this man will get to that jumping off point where he can't imagine his life with alcohol and drugs.
Yeah.
And he can't imagine his life without it.
And you found that place.
It's almost like purgatory.
Yeah.
It's like
Perfect.
Yeah.
Description. Not a perfect scenario.
perfect scenario.
I love purgatory.
It really felt that way
Yeah,
for me.
it does.
Yeah.
And just and I'm sure you guys can relate because you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
And,
Oh, yeah.
And that to be in that point, to be in that spot, like there was only one logical solution, and that was to not exist anymore, not to go to treatment.
Of course not. Fuck that shit.
Didn't work, right? Never did anything they suggested of me, but it didn't work.
Right.
Sure.
I didn't put
Yeah.
in the work, but I expected it to
You know,
magically work.
sucks. 12 steps sucks. Never did them, right?
Right. Yeah.
So the only logical solution was it's all over.
done, yeah.
It's done, you know. But
Did you contemplate suicide?
I tried to.
I think that
Tried to
didn't work.
I was
you-
picking
wait,
up on that,
Yeah.
by the way.
You tried to contemplate suicide, or you tried suicide?
What?
No, I failed.
You failed.
I
Okay.
failed at suicide. I was an
Okay.
abject failure.
I did. I did five and failed all 5 times.
God,
Yeah.
you suck.
I know. I suck. I just can't.
Why you gotta one up me, Scott?
I tried hanging myself. I tried shooting myself. I tried ODing on heroin. I shot up my first time more heroin than I did. Like, it was ridiculous, and I
Yeah.
lived through that. And then I tried it with cocaine.
Someone wants you
and I
around.
tried to crash my car once into a guardrail and kill myself too. Yeah, I'm supposed to be here for something.
You're supposed to be here.
I've heard of someone
Yeah.
like that went through a similar like steps like you did, and they said I think it was a comedian in recovery.
Okay.
And he said, all I could think was, man, I suck at everything.
Yeah.
I can't even
even kill
successfully
myself.
kill myself.
No.
And I've got that same one time.
Yeah.
I think I learned from the one time.
Can we say his name?
Yeah.
It's Artie
could be.
Lang, right?
No, it wasn't Artie Lang.
Yeah, it was.
No. He I think he had the same thing, but it was a guy that we watched in recovery. What's his name? He goes around and talks to.
that guy. Yeah, the comedian dude. They showed
He's
us
a
in the video,
comedian
yeah.
that talks to institutions. Like, he goes around, travels, and only does it. And he's usually on the West Coast. I can't remember his name. Mark.
Yeah, because I saw him in. But
Bald guy?
Artie Lang, yeah.
Similar. Yeah, he has a similar thing. Yeah, that's not
Artie
what I
Lang
was
has
going
the
from.
exact same story.
I
Right.
read
Really?
I
Okay.
read that in Artie Lang's book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He tried
so-
to kill himself with pills, and he talked about how he
Yeah.
he's such a failure. He
Yeah.
couldn't
It's
even.
like
He
that
couldn't
everything.
even.
Well,
Yeah.
the guy Mark, actually, he had a gun, and he broke into a hotel room, and it was one of those hourly motel rooms, and he broke into it.
I'm very familiar with those.
Yeah. I remember they have a certain aroma when you're in those.
Yes, they
And I would
do.
never use a black light. It'd probably look like a Jackson Pollock painting.
Oh
But,
God. No, you don't want to do that.
So he actually had a pistol that he picked up off one of his he was homeless, and he picked it up off a fellow homeless person that passed away. That he
Okay.
found the body, but just he knew
the
the guy
gun.
carried a gun, grabbed the gun off of him, went to the hotel room, put it in his mouth, pulled the trigger, and he said that click that he heard was like the most ominous, just deep thing.
Yeah.
But he opened his eyes after that, so he's like, man, I can't even fucking do this right, you know.
Yeah.
So it is
Yeah.
the same thing.
Yeah.
I was just referencing something different.
But either way, yeah.
How many? So you mentioned you've tried and failed
Mm-hmm.
at that one thing that we won't try again, right? Because we've got a good idea, we got good lease on life now, and and then recovery. Like you, how many times have you gone through a program?
Well, you have to define program.
Or how many times have you tried to get sober? Is that what
Checked
you
in,
mean?
checked into somewhere, or
Checked into somewhere 4 times,
Okay.
3 times.
were they all in like on East Coast? Did you do any of the West Coast? Did you do any abroad?
All East Coast, New York and Florida.
New York and Florida.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you?
I was in an IOP for 10 months in Manhattan.
Oh, in where?
Manhattan.
Manhattan.
Yeah, man. Not the Bronx.
New York City.
New York City. Huh. But so
Hey, I'm detoxing here.
forget about it. But so you've done. You said all East Coast.
Yes. I mean, not for lack of trying on the West Coast.
Right.
There were, a lot of. I had therapists and specialists and
Yeah.
case managers, and
Ooh, I love those.
I had I was in Israel. We'll talk about that. But I had
really?
I was in Israel for 6 months at one point.
What the heck were you doing in Israel?
Officially, school.
So, okay.
Unofficially.
Unofficially, jack shit.
Okay.
I have the exact same story for El Salvador. Or my dad sent me there to go to Spanish school. And he's like, so how's Spanish school doing? I'm like, great.
It would have been better if you said bueno.
Yeah.
It's going so bueno.
It's
Dad.
really big, no.
Muy bueno,
Muy.
padre. But,
Yeah, so I mean, I had like a case manager there who was like
In
my
Israel?
Yeah, like my
Okay.
parents set up like a case manager and an addiction counselor and a this and a that, trying to like set me up with different different options of what I was gonna do.
Okay.
Back in New York, I had specialists telling me to go to treatment in LA, a treatment in Arizona, a treatment in fucking who knows where, right? Tennessee,
Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Eventually settled on Delray this past time.
Okay.
But yeah,
So let's go to Israel.
Yeah, let's talk about
What's up
Israel.
with this?
Israel.
So you were
So you
going to school?
You went to school. You mentioned earlier. You said it felt like purgatory. Was it like
We're jumping.
Yeah.
That's what I do. I jump.
It's awesome. I love it.
But the purgatory wasn't in Israel.
But you mentioned purgatory. Then you mentioned Israel. Like, were you there for? Was it like high school? Like, did you go to parochial school, like a Catholic school or something like that?
No, I'm Jewish.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
Shalom.
that's why I said shalom. When I came.
I picked that up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shabbat shalom, by the way.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu.
Whoa.
Ooh.
What?
Whoa.
Yeah. I know a little.
Welcome to the club.
Hey! Oh, well, I almost said something. way
Opa,
wrong.
that's
I almost said
great.
Opa.
Hava, Nagila, Hava, Nagila.
Hey. I can do the little like the dance and stuff.
There's only one dance you really need to know.
Oh,
What's that?
Yep.
That one?
I remember that one.
Yeah. Light bulbs.
Yep.
Anyway,
That's great.
Yeah, so I grew up in a ultra orthodox community.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'm originally from Brooklyn,
Right.
but we moved upstate, not really upstate, Rockland County, which is like 30 miles north of the city,
Mm-hmm.
when I was 5. So most of my childhood grew up outside the city, but I still consider myself from Brooklyn because it's fucking cool.
Yeah. You gotta say it. Who wouldn't say it? I'm from White Plains.
I'm from Rockland County. No, I'm from Brooklyn. But yeah, very religious, Orthodox community, family. Everyone's religious. I went to Jewish schools my whole life. Elementary school, private Jewish school, high school, private Jewish high school.
On the weekends, Hebrew school.
No, this is Hebrew school.
No, I mean,
Yeah.
like, you didn't have, like, well, I was thinking for the bar mitzvah. Don't you have classes for a bar mitzvah before? To do that reading that I was just, like, repeating.
When you get to read out of the
Torah.
Torah.
Well,
when you read the
actually,
Torah.
growing
Yeah.
up the way I did, you don't need those classes.
Oh, because it was Orthodox.
You are.
Yeah.
That's what you are. Like
Yeah.
you grow up with that.
Okay.
You know? That was second nature. That was.
Heck yeah.
I mean,
I'm not trying to. I'm
Yeah,
not
no.
trying to be like offensive, right?
absolutely not.
No, this is legit. Like wondering because one of my best friends growing up was Hebrew, but they were not Orthodox. So he
Yeah, it's
only
very
went
different.
to temple. Is it or
Synagogue.
Synagogue.
Shul.
Shul. He went there to learn to read the Torah for the bar mitzvah, and then they had the Orlando Magic cheerleaders at the hotel that they rented out for his bar mitzvah. Like they were wealthy as all get out.
So they got the Orlando Magic cheerleaders for his bar mitzvah.
For his bar mitzvah?
That was just like the same thing as having a chocolate fountain. Like that was just like a little throw in, but
And
it was
that-
amazing.
That's the difference, really, between some of those sects.
Yeah.
And the really Orthodox
Right.
sect is that. I mean, there's no
You did not-
no fun and games.
So you didn't
really.
Like
You
they had a
didn't-
party afterwards, but you don't have those.
I grew up with, I needed lessons for my bar mitzvah because I read the whole Torah portion.
Oh wow.
I read the whole thing. So I needed lessons, leading up to that to like really nail it down.
Yeah, yeah.
But my father gave those to me because he
Right.
was a professional reader.
Oh wow.
He still is. And so I got that straight from him, and
Yeah.
I was getting that as a little kid. I was
Okay.
always like really into it.
That's immersion.
I'm a singer. I'm
Yeah.
a musician. So like, it's very. The reading is very musical.
So
Okay.
you're a musician.
I'm a
Right.
singer first.
A singer,
first.
okay.
Yeah.
Singer. My brother's a musician. He's a pianist first. So yeah, I know. I'm a weirdo. So he. So do you know Hebrew very well? Well, you did at one point, maybe, or something.
What's that?
Do you sing in it?
I can sing in Hebrew.
You
Yeah.
can.
Yeah.
Do you practice?
I was doing weddings
Really?
up in New York. Jewish weddings.
Is this
and
like
everything I sang was in
Wedding
Hebrew.
singer?
Is this
Yeah,
like a
that's
whole
awesome.
Adam Sandler wedding singer type kind of?
Not at all. Not at all.
Oh, okay.
He's absolutely amazing. I was watching his videos just earlier today. It
Really?
is
So you got videos
unbelievable.
like of your performances and stuff?
We got some Instagram clips.
Yeah,
Cool.
that's what I was watching.
IG.
Awesome.
Yeah. No, so like,
Yeah.
he like if I go to Israel and I try to converse with an Israeli, you know, I would be speaking very broken Hebrew with them.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But when it comes to like a lot of the songs and prayers and everything, that's like
Second nature.
that is like right off the tip of my tongue.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. So
you're in Israel,
yeah.
right? You said you had therapists and case managers and stuff.
Oh yeah.
When did you go there? Were you still young? Were you a teenager? Like
I said, I went to private Jewish elementary, private Jewish high school. Post high school, I went to a private Jewish college, you could say.
okay,
You know, they did offer credits, but it was completely the curriculum was completely religious.
okay.
Oh wow.
All
Sure.
study, Torah study, Talmud, all that.
Wow.
I was there for 3 years. That was in New Jersey.
Oh, that was in Jersey.
That was in Jersey. Oh,
Jersey.
okay. All right.
Oof.
That's 3 years post high school in Jersey.
Mhm.
Okay.
After that, so you guys ever heard of like the year in Israel?
Yes.
The year.
Yeah,
The
but
year.
explain it
No.
because we
So
don't
the
have
year
people
in
listening.
Israel is exactly that. It's a year in Israel where, you know, a lot of young Jewish people, men and women, will go to Israel for a year or more.
Okay.
You know, either post high school, usually right after high school.
Right.
I waited a few years, but
Naturally.
yeah, because that was, you know, in my community it was
You had
normal to wait a little longer.
Right.
Okay.
You also did the post high school
Right.
thing, so yeah, that prepares you, I guess.
Exactly. And people go for school and just for the experience and like
Okay.
to, you know, try to connect with the land and the religion and the thing. And it's cool, you know, if you're going for the right reasons and like it could be very meaningful.
Okay.
I went because everyone else was going.
Yeah, I heard a key word in there. He said could be very
Could be
meaningful.
very beneficial. Could being the key word.
I went to Israel because I was a follower. I was a people pleaser. I was too afraid to like speak out what I really wanted, you know,
Yeah.
and just went with what everyone else was doing because if I don't go, then I'm going to be an outcast,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Okay.
I'm not going to be able to get these are real thoughts. I'm not going to be able to get married.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a real thought,
That is a real
Yeah,
thought.
that is a real thought.
you know.
No. No.
I
I'm
will
sorry. I'm sorry.
No, I understand that.
We're tracking. I'm saying like because I know that
Yeah.
feeling, that outcast feeling. I mean that's common with the addict brain, the mentality of a lot of us are followers. You don't see us like say, hey everybody, come with me. Let's go do drugs and get in trouble. It's more like, hey, what are you doing over there?
Right.
You know.
Absolutely.
So yeah, no, that.
What can I do to fit in?
Had you already started using at this point?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Was it just alcohol or drugs when you went to?
In Israel? Or when I
Yeah, or
started?
just.
I started with just alcohol.
Okay, so
Yeah.
were you using drugs at this point in time? Where you took that trip over to Israel?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. All right,
Yeah. Yeah.
all right.
At that
Did you do
point,
it in part because you did the thought ever cross your mind? Well, if I actually do this, maybe I'll stay sober. I'll have to while I'm over there because I can't be there and like be going into clubs and being like, you guys got any heroin?
Yeah.
Or
and
or,
like
or
thank
drinking.
God I was never addicted to opiates.
Okay,
I
or whatever
dodged
your
that bullet,
whatever
but-
your
Yeah,
drug
you
of
did.
choice was. Yeah,
Yeah.
like this will be a good move for me because then
Yeah.
I'll move there and then I'll be able to stay sober.
Yeah,
or
so you
clean.
know how we talk about like people, places, and things, and how like
Right.
we think that like a geographic change is gonna
Yep.
like solve all of our fucking problems.
Right.
I definitely had that experience with Israel.
Okay.
I remember sitting on the plane. I'm super messed up. I'm like I'm tripping. I took like a shit ton of shrooms.
Oh
weed,
fuck! You're not
and,
fucking
like-
around.
And like a fifth before I got on this plane.
Holy shit!
I get on this plane. It's a 12-hour flight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I did the shrooms.
Yeah. And I'm sitting there, and I'm like looking at my phone. You know, like your front-facing camera
Yes.
on the phone. I'm like talking to myself, and I'm like Yehuda. That's my Hebrew name.
Yeah.
Yehuda. You're going to Israel. This is a big deal.
Yeah.
You're gonna make this it's time to stop fucking around.
Oh, you're giving yourself the pep
I'm
talk.
giving myself the pep
You were
talk.
like the
Right.
Jewish Stuart Smalley. Like, like Yehuda, you're good enough. You're smart enough.
You're a Kelly Clarkson song. You're strong.
Dang it, people like me.
Oh man! So you're doing this. You're tripping balls.
I'm tripping balls. I'm
Yeah.
telling myself that like it's over. Like you're done.
Yeah.
You're never smoking so much as a joint.
Right.
That's what I'm telling myself.
Sure.
Mic drop.
Here's the scary part.
What?
I fucking meant it.
Yeah. That is that's insane.
I meant it, man.
You were. Oh my god. That's insanely. That's deep.
I meant it so hard,
Yeah.
Did you feel like you let yourself down?
and I lasted a month.
Down? How did I say that? Down?
Down.
You lasted a month.
I lasted a
white
month.
knuckling it. That's pretty good. Like not even like a plane ride is your program. I can see why that didn't catch on.
Wait, how long was the flight? How many hours?
12 hours.
So instead of 12 steps, you took 12 hours.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. Very
Real
good.
quick before we get
Well
off
done.
the plane.
Yeah.
On my way to Guatemala again. Or no, this is not El Salvador. This is Guatemala.
Guatemalan.
My friends were just starting to do DXM,
Oh,
robo
boy.
tripping.
Yeah.
Robo-
And
trip.
there's this brand Dodson where it doesn't have any of the other stuff. It just has a straight DXM.
Yeah.
And I had a 4-hour layover. And I told myself, I don't know why I made this deal. And this is what we do. We make these weird deals with
Yeah,
ourselves. I was
yeah.
like, if I can find that random brand, because Dodson wasn't really like popular then I'll do it and try it.
Then it's meant to be.
Then it's meant
Yeah.
to be.
Yeah.
So sure enough, 2 bottlers are in one of the pharmacies because of course they carry it.
Yeah.
It's cough medicine. Like,
Exactly.
Why wouldn't
Yeah.
they? And I downed 2 bottles of Delsum on my way to Guatemala, which I had never been there before.
So you had the
by
Delsum
myself.
blues.
Yeah. And
Nice.
instead of talking to myself on the plane, I had a guy next to me talking to me about how he could see angels in the clouds.
Nice.
Whoa.
Ooh.
I think that was my uncle. Wow.
I had-
So instead
So
of
a month-
angels in the outfield, it was angels in the clouds.
And I was like,
Exactly.
dude, no, please don't do this to me.
So you get there, everything's okay for a month, and then
Oh, definitely not okay.
No, yeah,
okay.
I'm sure.
I'm in what we call a dira, which just means apartment,
Yeah.
in Jerusalem with, I think I was with 8 or 9 other guys.
Oh, it's like a hostel.
Not
Like
quite.
what the setup a little bit because like, I'm in
It's
the
a regular
hostel.
apartment.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a regular apartment. Just
Okay.
I was with 9 friends.
Oh, nice.
We got an apartment together, and that's just kind of the way it works. Like when you're going for for yeshiva, for religious school, it's almost like you want to be together with all the guys. It's that like communal sense of like, we're in this together. We're growing together.
Sure.
We're striving together. Everything's it's great.
Sure.
You know? So I'm in this dira with 9 other guys. They're all like super serious about what they're doing. They're trying to grow. They're studying all day. They're doing Talmud. They're doing everything. And I'm pretending to.
Yeah.
Because God forbid anyone think that I'm different.
God forbid they find me out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Talmud is oh God. It
Sounds serious.
Yeah, it's okay, so a little background. According to what we believe, there was the written law and the oral law. The written law was given at Sinai.
Yep.
The oral law was passed down from God to Moses.
To Moses, yeah.
And then Moses to the
people.
To Aaron and Aaron to the
right,
people.
and then the whole chain of command down to us.
Yes.
Right, eventually. Certain amount of thousands of years ago, because as we move on in generations, we get less and less spiritual.
Yeah.
Like the further away we get from Sinai, quote unquote,
Yeah.
like the less holy we are.
It's almost diluted.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's rather interesting as you say that
So-
because it seems to be the case as well in the program.
Yeah.
The further we get
Yeah.
away from 1953, when you mentioned like in the beginning of our literature, it says the story of how many thousands men and women have recovered.
Yeah, sure.
You look at it, 60 some odd years later, roughly,
Sure.
and what recovery.
There's people in the
looks
rooms
like.
today who tell you that you should just not drink and go to meetings.
Just not drink, go to meetings, you'd
Yeah.
be fine. And at the beginning, they knew that like it was basic. I mean, they even at one point changed the basic text. It's like, okay, do this or like you die. You drink and you die a horrible alcoholic death. And it's kind of dumbed down. It's a little softer and
Yeah.
same thing.
But
The
anyway,
further away we get. Yeah.
So at a certain point, the sages decided that if they didn't, because the oral law, the tradition of the oral law was that it was never to be written.
Right.
Never to be written down.
Right.
Only passed down
Sure.
orally. And so at a certain point, the sages decided that if we don't write this down, it's going to be lost forever.
Sure.
Or at least like changed.
Lost.
Yeah.
Gone.
Okay.
Oh
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And so they made a decision to write it down.
Okay.
And that's what we have called today the Talmud,
Yes.
which is the entire encyclopedia of oral law written down
Wow.
into a set of books.
Okay.
And that is what is studied and pored over and
During-
commentated on.
During that year, you mean? Like when
But
you're
no,
in the
just
apartment
in
with the guys,
general.
or just in general? Okay.
When most people, when you hear of a great sage or a rabbi who's, you know, he's a great rabbi, he has a ton of wisdom, he's all that.
Mm-hmm.
Most of that comes from studying that Talmud
Okay.
Okay.
for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and days and months and years, their entire life. People dedicate their lives to studying it.
Okay.
Wow.
You know, I have family members who have dedicated their lives to studying it.
Was that your
Yeah.
plan when you got there to kind of do that
No,
in some way,
No,
shape,
I
or
didn't-
form?
I didn't
Or
pick
was it
that
just
up.
to stay
No.
sober, or like what?
no.
Why
I
was?
didn't
What was your
have-
reason?
I had no plan
Well, you
when
said
I got to Israel.
so. It
I
wasn't.
was officially going to school
Officially.
to study that, you know, along with everyone else.
Okay. Sure.
Now, just because you're going to school to study it doesn't mean that like you're trying to become a rabbi or
Right.
trying. It's just
Right,
like
yeah.
it's considered like this is what you should be doing. Like it's it's the right thing to do, and
you
then you
meant-
could decide to do whatever you want afterwards.
Now you
Right.
mentioned something earlier. You talked about I'll never be able to get married. Is that something that could be a contributing factor to whether or not you could marry someone, whether their family would accept you? Like,
Yeah,
is there
so-
like an interview process? Like, have you done your year? Have
Vetting?
have you done? Yeah, I do. Do you get vetted
It sounds
to be
funny.
able to
It
marry?
sounds funny, but in some sort of way,
Yeah.
it is true because in the community I grew up in,
Mhm.
the way people get married is there's no casual dating.
Okay.
The regular dating scene where you meet someone and then like you ask them out. It doesn't work that way.
Okay.
It's purely with matchmakers.
Arranged.
Really?
I don't want to go so far as to say arranged,
Okay.
Okay.
but matchmakers. So
Okay.
Huh.
if I were a matchmaker and I knew JP and I knew Scott and I thought they would be great together, right? I would say I would tell you, JP, I would say, hey, like I know this guy
I got you.
and I think it would be great. And I tell Scott I know this guy and I think it'd be great.
Mhm.
And then you guys, and I would set you guys up.
Okay.
And then you guys would go out. Right?
Yeah.
That's just how it works.
Okay.
But the way it's evolved is that there's like resumes.
Wow.
We literally call them resumes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it'll say the person's name,
Okay.
their family members, what they do, what schools they
Holy
went
cow.
to, what schools
Okay.
they went to, blah
Legit
blah blah.
Resumes. Yeah.
Wow. All right.
References.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's just how it is.
Okay. So it's
And
kind of like
if it says on my resume that like I didn't go to a Jewish school or that like I didn't do my year in Israel
Mhm.
or that like I'm not trying to study Talmud all the time,
yeah.
My basket just got so much smaller.
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
Yeah. No. I mean,
For
that's
real.
Wow.
That's
So
So
you're-
that fear was real.
Okay.
intense. Yeah.
All right.
So yeah, I guess I'm fucking going to Israel and pretending like I'm normal.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. But normal didn't last.
And you made it a month.
I made it a month without using.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny, there was no like specific crazy situation that like led me to go back.
Right.
Okay.
It just happens,
happens.
right? And
Sure.
it's like, oh, it was a holiday. It was Sukkot, which is the holiday right after the high holidays.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sitting in my friend's on his veranda, and in Jerusalem, and he pulled out a joint, and I'm like, fuck yeah,
Hey,
like
man. Yeah.
and that was it. And
Puff,
that was
puff, pass, Mom. Yeah.
puff puff pass, and that was it.
Okay.
And the
Yeah.
out and like it's interesting, like my experience with drugs and alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
I've been drinking since I was about 13,
Okay.
right?
Hmm.
Well, on and off for the first couple of years, but eventually all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Weed
Weed.
was a huge part of my life. It's interesting because weed gets such a bad rap.
It does.
Right.
But
Yeah.
It's like a fugazi drug. It doesn't, blah, blah, blah. It's not
Fugazi
addictive.
Fugazi.
God, I love your New York.
You know?
Yeah.
And, like,
the drug.
and like, there's a point there, right?
Yeah,
It's not
there
going to
is.
kill you, right? Like some other drugs might.
Right.
And, it may not be as physically addictive.
I mean, it also
You know?
has medicinal
And it has a lot of
properties.
medicinal properties, and,
Right.
and there's a whole rage now about how amazing it is, and it's becoming, and you know, all that,
Yeah.
you know, but I don't know, weed kind of fucked me.
It can. Well, that
Because-
goes back to the old school gateway. Type
Not as a
thing.
gateway. It didn't fuck
No.
me as a gateway.
Didn't bring you back.
It
Wow.
just, I became so dependent on it
Oh,
just to survive.
to feel
Really?
normal.
Like, alcohol was always going to be my favorite,
Yeah.
you know, and that was what was going to fuck me up.
Yeah.
And that was what I was going to get to really obliterate myself,
Right.
along with like other like, I would supplement with like party drugs and
Right.
I love to trip and things like that. Alcohol was going to mess me up. Weed was so that I could have breakfast,
Yeah.
Function.
function, wake up,
Okay.
you know?
Right.
See, that's where I was with
Sure.
opiates.
Sure.
Like I
Sure.
could not,
Absolutely.
but I didn't eat.
You know,
either.
and like-
I didn't do it so I could have breakfast.
And to the
I
point
didn't eat
where,
either.
and I started smoking weed so young
Yeah.
that like I was averse to uppers.
Oh yeah, no, I get it.
I hate cocaine.
Really?
Can't stand it.
Oh shit. Have you ever tried it?
Yeah.
It's fucking awesome. It is fucking incredible.
God damn it.
Yeah, that's okay.
What just happened?
Just so we're saying, cocaine is not awesome. I'm just disclaimer. No,
Yeah.
it was at the time, but
No,
it-
so like
yeah.
I couldn't stand.
I'm not
I hate
saying that
uppers,
like
I hate speed. I you know, amphetamines are just
Wow.
ugh. Like because I don't. What am I trying to get? You know, some people are trying to like do their drugs, like wake up and like go do shit
Yeah.
and like
yeah.
live.
Yeah.
I'm trying to crawl up in the corner and
Die?
not think about anything.
Okay.
You know, and I can't get that with speed, and I can't get that with coke.
no.
You know, I want to like just. I want to go into my shell.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because I can't stand sitting with what is going on inside me.
Do you think it part of that is because of like this very structured a life you're like I've got this whole family and this religion and all these expectations, and so much of my life is I'm supposed to do this. I don't have free choice. I don't have free will to do this. There's obligations. There's conditions about it. Do you think that may have been like why that was your specific type of drugs you chose to kind of like not think about those things?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's a lot of factors that like determine why I did what I did.
Mm-hmm.
Also because, you know, growing up in those pretty tight knit bubbly communities, you know, weed in my community growing up was
Yeah.
like maybe like crack in yours.
Yeah, no, I get
I was
what you're
wondering
saying.
about that, like
It's
very
like, oh my
frowned
God,
upon.
he's smoking the marijuana. You know?
Are you eating drugs? Yeah.
You know?
He's a
and-
marijuana sniffer.
Yeah, he's like, oh my God, he's like, you know.
Okay.
And so that was what I knew to do. You know, just in my culture, it was like, you know, you want to rebel, you want to get fucked up, you do
Sure.
weed, you smoke
Right.
weed,
Okay.
right? And then I fell in love with it.
Yeah.
Right.
Alcohol in the Jewish community is revered.
Yeah.
Really?
It's actually it's a part of the religion. Like a lot of parts,
Of the religion have alcohol involved in it?
marbles in my mouth. There are a lot of aspects of the religion that like require alcohol.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
What
for
do you
like making.
require?
Sorry.
Like
What do you mean require? Like
As part of a ceremony?
Yeah, like as part of a ceremony
with like wine and shit.
with wine.
With,
Yeah.
What is it? I forgot what the Christians do, drinking the body and stuff, or like whatever.
What now?
I don't
no,
think Jews
that's,
do that.
That's
I don't
So
think
is it
people.
Like that? Is it like?
Oh,
You talking
he's-
about like a blood libel?
no, he's saying
He's talking about communion.
Unlike
Holy
like a
communion.
Jewish version
No,
of the communion.
so in Judaism, every Shabbat, there's 3 meals on Shabbat. Each one you have to make what we call kiddush,
Mhm.
which is like a blessing over the meal, over
Yes.
Yeah.
you know, thanking God, everything, and that's done with a cup of wine.
Okay.
You know, it's like a requirement.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You can do grape juice, but it's like considered better to use wine.
Right.
Okay.
There are, you know, every holiday there's it's one of the commandments, so to speak, is to eat meat and drink wine.
Yeah.
You know,
Wow,
as
okay.
a festive.
As one of the
Yeah.
Is that one of the feasts that requires that?
So every holiday, you're supposed to have multiple feasts, and
Yeah.
each one you're supposed to have meat and wine.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm talking like the Feast of Trumpets and like all the different ones like that.
What's
So
the
one-
Feast of
Or
Trumpets?
is it the Feast of Trumpets? I don't know. There's
Do you know my religion better than
what's the Feast of Trumpets?
Say it in-
It's one of the 7 Jewish
Brass
high
doesn't-
holidays. The
doesn't
Feast of
settle well
Trumpets
with
is like
I mean,
is-
I'm sure I know what you're talking about in Hebrew. I just
Yeah.
don't
right
know the English term.
English term
So-
for it. Right.
So, all right, I'm kind of jumping here, but it's
Yeah.
kind of doing this. You're a singer first and a musician. You've
Mm-hmm.
been in Israel. When did you decide to be a singer and or a musician? Were you on that in Israel, or did that happen after? Has your recovery helped you realize this dream? How long have you had? Just
Sure. So
throw it at me,
I've
buddy.
been singing my entire life
Okay.
since I
yeah.
could walk.
Okay.
Some of my first memories are me singing with my
Okay.
family. My family is extremely musical.
Okay.
Song is a huge part of my family and also our culture.
Yes, I do know
So I've been singing my entire life.
that. Mm-hmm.
I've had a dream to do it professionally probably since I was 10 or 11 years old.
Okay.
But I didn't actually start doing it professionally until I got back from Israel.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you started in active use trying to go professional or doing it professionally.
Yeah, so I would,
All right.
I was critically acclaimed in my private Jewish high school.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Good for you. I'm sorry. I'm not downplaying it. No. But I like how you did that.
Yeah, so my family, my community. I used to lead services,
Okay.
a lot. So like my community knew me,
Right.
so to speak. My neighborhood, my family definitely.
Was that pressure?
No, I loved
Oh,
it.
okay.
I loved it.
Good.
Still love it.
Yeah.
My I sang at some siblings' weddings.
Mm-hmm.
Not like the keynote singer, but like
Right.
a little, like a few songs here and there, like by the ceremony. Couple of relatives, so like I got like a little taste of that when I was younger.
Yeah. But they wanted you to. You weren't like the cousin or sibling that they forced.
Oh,
like,
no, they were
yeah.
like, oh no.
Yeah, no, I like
Yeah.
that. That's awesome.
Not just me, I did it with my brothers.
Oh, cool.
Back
Oh,
then.
so
Okay.
how many brothers do you have?
I have 2 brothers,
Okay.
4 sisters.
Oh.
Huh.
Yeah.
Anybody else in the program? Is
No.
anyone had contended with like drugs and alcohol to the
No,
point
no,
of
no,
like,
it's just
okay.
me. Yeah. But yeah, so when I got back from it, so I always had that dream. When I got back from Israel and I got sober, I really went for it.
Balls to the wall.
Yeah, God put certain people in my life that really helped me out, to get me in.
Mm-hmm.
And I started doing weddings and all sorts of like live events,
Yeah.
bar mitzvahs, weekends, all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I was doing it. I had a job for working for a real estate company. That was
yeah?
my 9 to 5.
Oh,
and
okay.
That was my 9 to 5, and my 5 to 10 was performing.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. But it was also like not amazing because I was playing a part.
Yeah.
Because I was doing all these Jewish gigs.
Mm-hmm.
I never did a non-Jewish gig in my life.
Right. Oh, wow. Oh, so you were pigeonholed, or was that by choice?
Say more.
Huh?
I don't know what that means.
Oh, pigeonhole means like you have one. Say more. Use your words. No, you have one style. That would be like an actor that only does comedies, and then eventually wants to branch out and do drama too.
Sure.
So you were strictly doing Jewish
I was in the
music,
niche.
Hebrew, whatever.
I was in the Jewish.
The niche. There you go.
I was in the Jewish wedding and event niche.
niche.
That's what I was doing,
Which
right?
is different than Nietzsche.
Nietzsche.
Or
Very
Nietzsche.
different than
Yeah,
Nietzsche.
very, 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 very.
We already put a stop on philosophy earlier today.
Yeah, I know. I just wanted to say Nietzsche.
But either way,
I just wanted to say I just wanted to say Nietzsche.
Carl Jung.
Give me my thing.
Yeah. So I was doing that. I was making, some epic monies. you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, I mean, you're
Live
doing
gigs
good.
pay freaking well, man.
They do.
You know,
I used to-
especially when there's some rich mofos like
Yeah,
paying
Yeah.
you to do it.
yeah. I only did DJing for weddings.
Yeah.
And made good money doing that. I can't
Yeah.
imagine actually performing. I was playing other people's
Yeah.
shit.
And like some of like my highest moments were like getting flown out to do stuff.
Yeah.
Like I got flown to Toronto
Huh?
to do a weekend gig.
To perform.
Yeah, it was like
Oh, yeah.
at the time it was like
How old were you?
22.
Yeah, that's big.
You know?
At 22.
Yeah.
Be bigger if you
21
were
maybe?
16.
21
yeah.
or 22. I can't remember.
What's the drinking age in Toronto?
18.
18.
No, it's 19 now.
Oh, is that?
Okay.
Big
So
whoop.
one thing I've noticed in this, like you're in recovery and everything, but you're like one of our things in recovery is finding our higher power, like one of the steps and stuff. And it's getting your higher power is something that I've heard a lot about. It sounds like you had that your whole life already. Did it? Well, I mean, you believe? Did you? Was there a point?
This
where
is a very interesting discussion.
I like it.
Yeah,
I
let's
like
get
interesting.
into it.
Yeah, let's roll your sleeves up, bro. Literally,
they're
No, I'm
already
just kidding.
rolled up.
Okay, good.
Here's the thing. And I ran into this problem.
Mm-hmm.
All right. It's almost harder when you come in with prejudice. And when you, not just prejudice, when you come in with, preconceived notions.
Right.
I almost envy, and this is not to shit on, someone who didn't have religion coming in, or like, and not to say that they don't have their own struggles with the
Right.
whole higher power thing, because it's its own struggle.
It is.
Like learning a new concept.
Right.
And I get it. I'm not like, power to you.
Mm-hmm.
But in a way, I almost envy, like, they get to have that new experience. If they're willing and they're ready, then they get to have that new experience, no strings attached.
Mm-hmm.
There's no unlearning.
There's no unlearning. Perfect.
I know, like,
And here's the thing. Sorry, here's the thing with.
Shut up! I'm talking.
No,
No, I love it.
here's the thing with unlearning. Right? It's not about me saying that everything I've learned up until now, or everyone else's conceptions that have been put on me until now, are not true. It's not what it is. It's unlearning the idea that someone else's conception must be my conception.
Brilliant. No, I get it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I'm tracking.
And my entire life, I didn't realize this until I came in this past time.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize that my entire life, every notion and conception of spirituality, religion, and higher power that I ever had, excuse me, were never my own. None of that was ever my own. It was always what someone else told me. And that doesn't mean that, what that person told me doesn't work for them.
Right.
Or that it might even work for me. It doesn't mean that it won't work for me. But it can only work for me if I develop my own conception and my own relationship.
well, the whole aspect of the program is about developing a personal relationship.
Absolutely.
It's about developing, first and foremost, a personal relationship with yourself, the reality of who and what you are. The second, it's a threefold process. The second aspect of it is developing personal relationships, or rebuilding those, developing new ones and healing the ones that are broken with other human beings. And the third one is about developing a personal relationship with a higher power, God as you understand him.
Mm-hmm.
The 12 steps is about, in a big part, about those three aspects on that. Like, I was raised as a Lutheran, which is basically Catholics. Somebody got pissed off about them having saints and indulgences, but they took the whole Catholic religion, just threw the saints out, and then formed a whole religion around it.
Cool.
So I went, no, if that's your thing, it's cool. It was not my thing. Same thing. I was an altar boy. I went to church. I had confirmation. I went to parochial school my whole entire life until I was a senior in high school, and just geographically, because of the location of the Lutheran schools, I couldn't do it. So when I literally the first time I got sober, because I had 6 years, and I went back out for 11 and came, and then I'm back, and I have 8 months now, almost 9.
Congrats.
Woo. Thank you. I had to.
You're the bomb.
No, he's the bomb.
Me?
Him?
Yeah, Nick.
Yeah, he is the bomb.
No,
Nick is your higher power?
my higher power.
Oh.
God as I understand.
Whoa,
is the
dude,
bomb.
that's bad. We need to talk about
we have
that
a
later.
Yeah. No, it was very difficult for me the first time around to let all that go, because I did have all these preconceived notions. I was told, this is what God is. This is who you are. This is what other people are. And I mean, the pain got so great. I was battling between, I need this new thing the program says I can have, but the fear that was instilled in me, if I let go of this, I'm going to go to hell. Like, I can't believe what this program tells me, that I can have a personal relationship, because my religion told me if I abandoned my religion, I was condemned. And honestly, it finally got to the point where the pain of drinking and getting high was so painful. I was like, I'm already living in hell. Fuck my religion. I'm already in hell. How much more? You know what? I'll take what the religion tells me will happen to me. I will take that over this pain that I'm feeling, just fucking not using and wanting to use. Like, I'm literally in a living hell. And I will take if it's a biblical hell with fire and getting poked and pitchfork and fucked in the ass or whatever the hell it is, I'll take that, because that will be something different than where I'm at right now. And then it was a process of initially letting a bunch of it go, and then a stripping off of the other stuff the more that I got into the program, because of what other people gave me and told me I needed to believe.
For sure. And it's very much my experience. And that's not to say that, you know, the literature talks about, you know, be quick to see where religious people are right.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Oh yeah, I'm not saying I disagree with everything from the Lutheran religion.
But when I came in, all I had was resentment towards religion.
Okay.
And spirituality and the G word and everything. Right? I couldn't even
Google?
Yes.
Google, yeah.
Google fucked me.
Yeah, okay.
Those drugs weren't real. True story, by the way.
Yeah, it sounds true. It sounds like you had some experience.
Oh my God. Sore topic.
Real quick before you get further into it,
Yeah.
On just the note you said earlier about like relearning or becoming reacquainted, you know, versus someone like me who I mean I can speak for myself, who's basically atheist, agnostic, whatever. Like the idea that if I had to like redo and go back, it's like it would be like quadruple the work. It'd be a total identity crisis. I completely see how it's easier, how it is
in a
for
way.
me. It is definitely easier to start off anew and be just be like living and learning and like getting, versus like having to go back, undo, but still keep certain parts. Like, you know, like that sounds like, I'm just thinking about it right now. It sounds like a fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
So
it is.
I totally agree with you on that.
Yeah. What were we saying?
I mean, now you've got me really intrigued on this Google thing. But, but we were.
Oh yeah, so the resentment, right?
The resentment, yeah.
So imagine like coming in, and you don't have to imagine it, you know, because you experienced it.
Yeah.
But like coming in, all I have in relation to spirituality, religion, God, higher power, past, everything is just walls and resentment. I have resentment against teachers, rabbis, family, laws, books, God, everything. You know, everything that I had said, I had made a decision that like I don't need to deal with anymore. Right? Because I have so much, like, I just want to put it away, right? What do I want to do as an addict? I want to stuff.
Yeah.
Stuff it down, baby.
Yeah.
And then I convince myself that I'll never have to deal with it again. Right?
That's not coming back.
What about you?
And the thing is that all of that resentment, I realized after a certain point, had nothing to do with spirituality, religion, or God. It had everything to do with the human beings in my life at that point in time.
Right. Yeah.
And that was a mind fuck.
Yeah, that's
you know
like
what? You left yourself out of that equation.
Matrix.
You talked about how like resentful at rabbis and family and religion and practices and locations and things like that. But that's who you are. That's like people. I imagine this is what like my religion taught me was this is who you are. So I'm resentful at all that stuff. I'm actually resentful at me and who I am. Like I have to be this thing that I'm not. I don't connect with. Like I am this practice. I am this person. I am this thing in relationship to a higher power. But it took me a long time to figure out. It's like, yeah, you're right. It's all people. But for me, I had to realize that, like, actually, what I'm really resentful at is me.
Yeah, and for me, in a similar vein, I had to realize that, that the negative beliefs I had about myself were what was really messing me up.
Okay.
Because my coming in, you know, back in January this time around, because all the other times were fugazi. You know, let's be real.
Right.
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 This time.
The band Fugazi?
No, that's from that's Wolf of Wall Street when they're doing blow and drinking martinis with Matthew McConaughey. He's like, it's Fugazi. It's Fugazi. It's Fugazi. Yeah.
Okay. So, what was I saying?
See,
The resentments.
Sorry.
The aspects of the aspects of yourself.
yeah.
And, yeah.
Right. So
And you
I
said
had-
coming in this
yeah,
time.
So coming in this time,
Right.
I realized that my main core negative belief about myself, cultivated by my surroundings, my everything growing up, all my traumas, my past experiences, was that Yehuda is a fuck up. Period. End of sentence.
Yeah.
Throw out the pen. Throw the key down the wall. It's over. That is what got me. And if I'm a fuck up, if I'm a screwball, I have no responsibility.
Yep.
I can hate everyone for making me a screwball.
Yeah, 'cause it's not my fault.
Not my fault.
No.
No, not my fault.
No.
So hate everyone,
Right.
shit on everyone,
Okay.
and never take on any responsibility ever again because I deserve to do whatever I want because I have been fucked.
Okay.
And that was, I had to learn what I thought was the biggest injustice done to me. I had to relearn and realize that it was the most selfish, self-centered thing I had ever done to myself.
Yeah.
Was to create that belief system.
Okay.
And how
And
did
when we talk about selfishness and self-centeredness is the root of our
problem.
root
Right.
of our troubles.
Yeah.
That for me was at the root of the root.
So you could
Because all of my selfish decisions that come out on the outside, that, you know, it's like, oh my God, this guy's a selfish prick. It stems from that belief that because of my past experiences and everything I've been through, I get to do what I want. And I am the center of it all.
Yeah.
I'm in control.
Right.
No one can tell me what to do.
because
And you
you're
can suck my dick.
because you're a piece of shit because I'm a broken person.
I'm a
because
broken person.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll pass.
Right.
You sure?
yeah.
Yeah.
Thought about it.
I already set you up with Scott.
I
so-
know.
Oh, Lord.
I need to see that resume though. So here's the thing, and I'm not letting this go. I got you on that one. I'm not letting this go.
It's funny because it's true.
It is true.
Yeah.
I'm not letting the Google thing go. But
We can get back to that.
Yeah, we're gonna get there.
It's very embarrassing.
I love embarrassing. Was this realization, this you realize that it was all my selfishness, it wasn't it wasn't outside. It wasn't I was projecting my internal
Angst.
shit.
Yeah.
Was that an epiphany style? It was a sudden realization.
Ooh,
what happened when did you find that out, and what?
Through doing the work.
Okay.
Oh, that's cool. That was easy.
So that's
I was expecting I was drinking tea and writing. No.
Yeah.
But
a certain founding member of a certain 12-step
Yeah.
fellowship had a certain experience, which was a white light moment,
yeah.
which is discussed in his book,
okay.
which I like to partake in, said book.
Yeah.
But that was not my experience at all.
No.
Okay.
It wasn't until going through the work and not even thinking about it. But like one day, like months down the line, I did like a 180. I did like a those like cartoon double takes, like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and I was like, what the fuck?
It just hit you.
I was like, I haven't obsessed about alcohol or drugs in months,
Okay.
without knowing it.
without even thinking about
Yeah.
it, without even realizing that I hadn't been obsessing. So that was one huge spiritual experience.
Okay.
But then that took months to realize. But really going through the work and then looking back, doing that 180, doing not the 180, hopefully not
Right.
the 180,
Right.
doing the double take and being like, oh my God, I am the root of my troubles.
And
it sucks.
Yeah. God.
You know,
dang.
it sucks, but it is so, at the same time that it sucks and it's like, you want to like curl up in a ball and like bury yourself alive because of
Right.
like, the shame
Yeah.
Yeah.
in a way, and an unhealthy shame
Right.
can come in very easily if you're not careful.
Yeah.
It was also so freeing.
Like liberating almost.
so
Like,
liberating.
Yeah.
It's like, I know what's going on now.
When you know the problem, it's fixable.
Durr.
So
you know, and sorry, I keep interrupting.
No,
Scott,
it's all right.
go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I was going to say,
You guys are so polite.
So you talked about the selfishness, self-centeredness, and yet at the beginning of the show you talked about your career and what you do working with people on the autistic spectrum and having participants and being able to confer with a friend back in New York who does the same thing and offer them some experience and hope and stuff like that. That doesn't really sound very selfish. It sounds like you've had this there's like the different way of looking at life and stuff. What is your life like now? How many months? January, September? 10 months later, what does it look like now compared to that realization you had where it's like, oh my gosh, I'm a self-centered prick and I'm a piece of crap? What's it look like now?
Now it looks like every day I have a choice to make of whether I'm going to be a selfish prick or whether I'm going to be a giving, selfless individual.
Prick. I mean, yeah.
Still a prick, always a prick.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, you gotta be honest.
So what I mean by that is that I feel like up until this point I didn't have a choice. Meaning my beliefs were so ingrained and I was in such active addiction, I didn't really have a choice in how I was going to act.
So now you have the power of choice?
We've been given new power.
Yeah.
New power has flowed in.
The power of choice.
Absolutely. And that is the miracle. The miracle for me is that I now have that choice.
Yeah.
And I can decide, right? I've been given a power, not from, I couldn't do it myself. I
Right.
needed a higher power to help me. But that higher power has given me the power, a new power, to not have to pick up, right? So to live a sober life.
Yeah.
Sure.
But it doesn't stop there. You know, like, one of my favorite paragraphs of the book is later on in, I think it's in ninth, when it's talking about the ninth step.
Okay.
We're not going to say the name of the book.
Sure.
But it talks about how
50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah.
50 Shades Freed.
Yes. Yeah.
It talks about how we think, it literally says this, we think a man is unthinking
Yeah.
if he believes that abstinence is enough. Right? What unthinking to me is 1934 talk for blithering idiot.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, they're saying to us, don't be so stupid to think that you can just put down the bottle
Right.
and you're good.
And you're good to go.
Right?
Yeah.
What's the tornado?
Roaring through people's lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it talks about how, it's like there's this tornado
You're that dry fucking drunk.
ravaging everything around it.
Yeah.
Right? I'm down in the cellar. Right? I come up 4 days later. I look around. Total obliteration. Everything is destroyed.
Yeah.
I look up. I turn. I say, hey, ain't nothing to see here, Ma. Ain't it grand the wind stopped blowing?
Hey, I'm not drinking now. Everything's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about the destruction around you?
Yeah.
Right? So I put down the drink, and that's the first spiritual experience is that I don't have to pick up.
Right.
I get that choice. I get that power again.
Yep.
I don't need it anymore. I don't need to wake up and drink in order to survive.
Yeah.
The next step is, what about the destruction around me? How am I going to act today in ways that I didn't used to act so that I can continue on this plane, continue on this spiritual growth? Because if the problem is me, right? If the problem is that I'm so selfish and self-centered, and that is the root of everything,
Yeah.
the only way around that is to start acting selflessly.
Yeah.
And to start giving and helping others. I help someone else, it makes me feel better. It's kind of crazy.
Well, I
that
mean-
But
I
it's
sit
cool.
down. I sit down with someone to go through the work, and he thinks I'm helping him, and I am,
Yeah.
but I'm doing it for me.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's kinda crazy.
It's helping me more than it's
It
helping
is
him.
helping them.
Okay,
But
I had
I'm doing it out of selflessness
Yeah.
for them.
That's
Yeah,
the beauty.
That's the cool thing. Yeah.
I had a sponsor up in Brooklyn.
Okay.
Okay. This guy's from Argentina, sweet guy. I was very sick. Very, very sick.
Very sick.
He every time I hung up the phone with him, he would say, thank you for keeping me sober.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck you, man. What
Yeah.
do you like? Are you playing with me?
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
think
yeah.
this is a big joke?
No.
Yeah.
You know?
Do I amuse you?
Yeah. I fucking amuse you.
Am I a joke
Right.
to you?
How am I funny? How am I keeping
Yeah.
you fucking sober?
Go get your fucking shine box.
And I used to get so pissed at him.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I didn't understand what he was saying.
But now you do.
And then I got to this point, and those words came out of my mouth. I was talking to a sponsee one day. I was talking to a sponsee.
Yeah.
We hung up, and I was like, "Hey man, thanks for keeping me sober." And I was like, "Oh my god,
Yeah. You know,
isn't that crazy?"
no, you know,
Spiritual
what, you know what it
experience.
is. You got the literature,
Yeah.
it's the written thing, and you got the oral. There's an oral aspect of this.
Don't do this.
There's a huge oral aspect.
There's a huge oral aspect of this program that gets passed down
Absolutely.
from generation to generation. One of those things are, thanks for keeping me sober.
Thanks for keeping us sober.
Yeah,
Today.
Yeah.
So we have a thing, and Scott's gonna just pile drive you with these, but I'm gonna give you a heads up. At the end
At least
of
he
every,
didn't do it like that.
Yeah. At the end of every cast with our guest, we
Yeah.
ask them 3 questions. Do you
Yeah.
know about the 3 questions?
No, I do not.
Okay,
Are we
so
at the
we
end
got-
of the cast?
Yeah,
We're
we
at the
are.
end of
What about the Google story?
I know that's gonna
We'll
have to
have
be
you
private.
back.
We're gonna have to
You wanna
throw
come
that.
back?
We might
You
throw a
come back
little
and
like we might throw a little like extra like a little bonus track.
It's
in
very
there.
simple. I got scammed out of $2,000 for fake drugs.
God, I love you.
Okay,
shit.
done. Move on.
I love you. I
All
only
right.
got 500, so
Okay.
I feel you though because I've done that.
I don't know what this is. I'm glad I don't know
Google
what it
if you
is.
try to buy it
Yeah.
offline and if it's not on the dark web, then you usually get scammed.
Oh, I know how to go.
So-
on the
I was
dark web.
desperate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so was
All
I.
right.
So we asked 3 questions.
Yeah, we got 3 questions that we ask our guests because the name the name of the show is the Just for Today cast. So and that's an oral thing too. That's not. I think it's maybe it might be in the stories in the literature, but it's an oral thing as well. You know, we do this just for today, one day at a time. We do this
Sure.
one day at a time. That's not written down anywhere, but you know. So what we do is we ask our guests. So because of the show, it's just for today. You know, it's about living your life for today. So 3 questions. You have, well, let me set it up. You have 24 hours to live, okay? Not today, but let's say tomorrow you're going to wake up and your higher power is going to show up and tell you that you have only today, 24 hours.
You
That's
can't tell
it.
anybody.
And then after that, like when you go to bed or 24 hours expires, you're dead. Where would you go in that 24-hour period? Who would you see or spend time with? Like, what would you do? And what you can say one thing or a series of thing, a phrase, paragraph, whatever. What would you say to everybody who's left behind? And you have a magic microphone. Everybody hears what you have to say. So where would you go? Who would you see or spend time with? And what would your parting words be to all of us?
You have Trump's Twitter account.
Yeah, Trump's Twitter account.
You threw it in.
We don't have to open that fucking can of worms.
Well, no, he
No, I get it.
We said no politics
He's
on the
got a
show.
reach like
Yeah.
no other.
A reach like no other.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
Okay.
He misspells it, but it's okay.
Wow.
Where would you go? Who would you see or spend time with? What would you say?
No pressure.
It's pretty deep, right?
Yeah. I would go to my parents' house. And I would spend time with them and just try to give them show them as much gratitude as I could, because I'm not sitting here today if not for their help over the years. And I don't do a good enough job of showing that. Honestly, they've saved my life on multiple occasions. I would go there for sure and spend as much time as I could with them.
Yeah.
And my parting words would be help each other, because you have no idea what impact you might have on another person's life.
That's good. That was intense just now, man. That's awesome. Because you thought it out. You didn't just blurt out, "Oh, I go to Rio and and have supermodels. No, you're really family. You acknowledge that. I respect that. That was a dig, by the way, at Nick.
What did he say?
Oh, you don't want to know what Nick's answers were. You do not want to know. There was family was. No, there was no. It was all about. Let me put. It was all about what Nick was going to do.
Well, I thought it was serious questions.
It is a serious question. Yeah.
He seriously
That's
answered.
the quietest this room has ever been.
Yeah. That was intense, dude. That was awesome. Like
Yeah.
I'm literally like, bravo. I'm not giving you shit. Like, that was good.
You know what though? That's a good way to spend all your last 24 hours. That's
Yeah,
a really good
man.
way.
I mean, it's just
Yeah.
gratitude, man.
Awesome.
I'm not. It's important.
Basically,
I don't know
don't
what
be a
else to
dick.
say about
Basically,
it.
don't
Yeah.
be a dick.
Don't be
Yeah, gratitude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the people that I've seen that are most asshole-ish or dick or whatever is zero gratitude.
Yeah, and
That's
like,
where I get
and
that.
I can get caught up in it. Like,
It's
I'm
easy.
full of stress right now. I'm moving soon. I might,
Mhm.
I'm picking up new stuff in my life, and like everything's like I have a lot of worry and fear and stress, and like
Yeah.
gotta just remember gratitude. Like, where am I? What's going on?
You know,
Yeah.
like all these like first world problems that I'm dealing with.
Yeah, dude,
you know?
first world problem.
Oh my god.
You know, it's interesting. You know, it's funny because you said that you're just a selfish, self-centered, and something's wrong with you, you're a broken person. But you gave two examples there. You said you were going to go give something to somebody else, which was spend time with them. You were going to take what you had 24 hours and go share it with your parents. And then the words you said was help somebody else, like get out of yourself.
Yeah.
It sounds like this program's worked for you.
Yeah, and I owe it to the grace of my higher power for helping me see that light. Honestly, honest to God, it's the simplest program I've ever been a part of.
Yeah.
And it gets so jumbled up because of my own fickle brain that wants to complicate things.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's trust higher power, help others, get out of your own head, and my life gets better.
Well, and we're grateful you trusted us. We're grateful that you came here today
Add
and
demons.
spent
grateful
time
to
with
be
us.
here.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me on, man.
Yeah.
Hold up. Add
hold on.
demon.
Oh, wait. Add demon.
Add demon.
Add demon.
So,
Add
yeah,
demon.
This
Yes.
is near ending the show. This is when I come on and I get to speak for a couple of seconds.
Yeah.
So yeah, I know. Boo. We are on. We have a Patreon.
Ooh.
Yeah.
We have an Instagram, which is Just for Today Cast. Our Facebook, it's a giant long number, but it's the Just for Today Cast group.
Yep.
We are on iTunes.
You
Official.
made it on
As-
iTunes now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As of 4 o'clock this morning, we are on iTunes.
Mhm.
We have Spotify. And iTunes, Spotify, and SoundCloud is under podcast by Broken Helm. And you can actually type in Just for Today Cast, and it will come up in iTunes as well.
Yeah.
I already tested it and whatnot.
Okay.
Pretty cool.
And
Yeah, he doesn't seem impressed.
What else? What else? Oh,
He's
and
on iTunes already.
what are we doing?
We're on YouTube.
We are on YouTube. Oh yeah, this.
You
this
can
is where-
search
yeah, we're
Broken-
to see
You're
it.
on Spotify too.
We're on Spotify.
Spotify. Dude, I know.
You can
You always
search.
forget the Spotify.
You can either search Broken Helm, or you can type in just for today with the number 4, and like scroll through. You'll find us that way.
Yeah. And coming up, I don't think we know. Yeah.
Well, we have ideas, but we like to keep it a little surprise.
Yeah, we like to
sometimes.
keep it a
Yeah.
little surprising. Yeah, we've got a couple people we're talking to. We've actually got somebody that expressed an interest to possibly do something. We might be doing something next week with them. I don't know. We'll
Involves
see.
ping pong balls.
Forget about it.
Yeah.
Winona Ryder's not coming.
Was it?
No.
Her name Bubbles. But no, I mean, I think that we've enjoyed having you on the show. I
Thank you,
appreciate
sir.
it.
Thank you so much for having me.
Dude,
Yeah.
Thanks for
It's really
coming.
awesome.
Yeah. And so, on behalf of myself and JP and Nick, our producer, and God, our higher power, is that what we're doing?
Helm.
Broken Helm.
I was going to get there. You're doing this. That means like him.
No, I am God.
Oh,
Nick is my higher power.
Nick is our higher power for
comes the
you know,
lightning.
the little bit of time.
Hellfire Brimstone.
Yeah, and on behalf of Broken Helm, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me. Hey, I'm
Absolutely.
podcasting here.
Hey.